what's going on?
Hello.
Where are you?
I'm how many thousands of miles away from you?
I don't know, actually.
8,000, I think it is, something like that.
It's not, is it?
Yeah, it's about that. I'm sure it is. It took me 30 hours door to door to travel that distance, which is not bad going considering it took us 10 years to do half that distance by boat. So
Yes. How long have you been back in the UK now?
it's been just over a week, just 1 week.
Okay, and is there anything that you missed about being on the boat?
There are lots of things I miss about being on the boat. And
Okay.
guess what number one is? Have a guess what the biggest thing I miss.
Me!
Of course, that's a given, isn't it? That's a given.
I don't know what the number. If I were in the UK? What would I be missing most? I don't know.
Bum wash.
Hello, I'm Liz.
And I'm Jamie.
Welcome to Follow the Boat, in which we discuss what it's really like to give it all up to live on a boat.
And go travelling around the world. We've been doing it since 2006 and we're still at it.
Each week we talk about our latest YouTube video.
And about boats, sailing, travel or anything else which floats into our heads.
And if you leave a comment we like, we'll give you an answer and a name check. Peace and fair winds.
We should explain, of course, to those who don't know, in Asia, you clean your bum with water. Now, it might be a jug with a bucket of water by the side, and you have to use there's a certain trick to it. But of course, a lot of these Asian toilets have a really powerful jet shower head. And of course, we've got one on the boat. So, we do use it on the boat. The power on the boat isn't quite as strong, but we have the ability to use the bum wash. And I noticed it was when I got to Stansted Airport and I got off the plane and went to go to the toilet, and the first thing you notice is how dry the toilet is, but also how smelly it was, just this stale smell. And I realised, and having to use toilet paper, so yes. So I really do miss the bum wash. Tied number one with that is, of course, dragon fruit, which we discussed in the last podcast.
Yes, I had one this morning, and keeping it on a lavatorial level, my pee is still bright pink because of that lovely purple dragon fruit. Yes, I would be missing that. Conversely, I do miss quite a lot of North European fruits like berries. It's blackberry season coming up. Well, just finishing now, isn't it? We don't really get anything like that here. Blackberry and apple, there's rhubarb. There are certain things that I really miss that we don't get. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
I went for a walk with my parents only yesterday in the Essex countryside. And it was an area that I hadn't been to before. And of course, the berries are starting to come out, not just the edible ones, but the poisonous ones. So you get these splashes of red and sort of dark crimson colours in among the green trees. And it is still green here. But do you know what? I have never seen so many oak trees in a square mile as I did yesterday. And that was something else that I realised I haven't seen an oak tree in a very long time. And it was quite something. And do you know what? My dad was talking about how humid it was. And of course, it's nothing compared to Asia. But there was a sense of humidity because it's been quite dry here. But as we walked through this copse, I suppose it was, in among all these oak trees, it did have this very sort of damp feeling. And for a moment, I was taken back to Asia. But of course, temperature's just a little bit lower than it is over there.
Did you know that liking and subscribing on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts helps us to get noticed? Go on, give us a helping hand.
So how are you coping with the heat over there?
It's as bad as ever, which may sound a bit strange to people, considering we live over here. It's normally fine because we're usually at anchor, and when you're at anchor, you have the wind blowing through the boat all day and all night, and in fact it gets quite cool, certainly at night. But when you're in a marina, and definitely when you're on a hard, in a boat yard, it really overheats. because the wind's never coming the way you want it to come, and it has been very hot. So I get up very early, do little bits and pieces around the boat, still dark and it's nice and cool very first thing, and then I take the dogs for a walk along the beach before the sun comes up. Then I have a coffee, then I go back to the boat, and then I don't get off the boat again unless I can help it until 5, because the midday sun is just it's more than I can bear. There you go.
We should explain the reason why it's so hot when you're in a boatyard is because the boat is out of the water, so it doesn't have the cool insulation of the sea around it. So the whole of the boat is getting the sun, not just the deck, it's getting it from the sides as well. That's why it gets so hot on the boat. So yes, although I do seem to remember at night time it was still getting quite chilly, wasn't it?
Yes, and of course at night time I'm in the cabin, and we have a big hatch above the bed, and I put the big fan on, and in fact it gets cold and I have to put a blanket over. So the nights are fine. It's the daytime when you've got that searing heat and intense humidity that it really makes me, it's not good for me. And when we did that podcast all about dealing with heat waves, it does explain why it isn't good for you and why you do heat up and why you get so tired, because your body is working really hard to try and keep you cool. So I'm doing my best to try and keep cool, and there's lots of things to get on with in the boat.
I was getting text messages from people abroad in Asia kind of ribbing me about being back in the UK and is it freezing, is it cold and what have you. And actually it's been really mild. It's sunny today, and it's I haven't been freezing my tits off as I normally do in the evenings when I come back. So I'm quite pleased about that.
Oh, that's good. I wish I could have a bit of that. I wish I could just have that cold weather for a bit, just to sort of chill me out. Because the other thing is that what you have over there is you have seasons, which we don't really get here. We have seasons, but they're about which way the wind's blowing and if it's wet or dry. But you've got as you were talking about those oak trees, so you've got all beautiful autumn coming up. You're going to be there for autumn, aren't you?
Yes, and autumn is probably my favourite season actually. It reminds me of going back to school, a fresh start, which sounds a bit odd because autumn is when obviously the leaves on the trees drop. But for me, I always saw it as the beginning of the new year, basically the school year. So there's something about autumn that I love, and of course, as you say, the colours as well. But don't forget, of course, the grass is always greener. Excuse the pun, because the grass is very green at the moment. But I think, sometimes you forget that when you've been in the cold, after a while, well, for me, it really starts to get to me. You can feel it at the end of your fingers and your toes, and you're wearing layers, like I am now. Did you notice this? I've got a hoodie on. So I think it's all very well to say, yes, well, isn't it great you've got all these changing seasons, but I'll be honest, I prefer wearing flip-flops and shorts and cotton shirts and sitting by the sea than I do having to wear layers over here. Socks and shoes. Socks and shoes.
Yes.
That's something I do really miss that about being on the boat, is just wearing the bare minimum.
Yes, that's true. I agree. I think the grass is always greener. It's funny, you're probably missing here and I'm probably missing there because, for instance, one of the things that I don't like about being here is being bitten by mosquitoes and midges day in and day out.
Well, and of course that's a product with being on the hard. When we're on the water, we don't really get affected by mosquitoes. They don't fly that far out, do they? But of course you're surrounded by rainforest and banana trees and lots of green foliage, aren't you? And water, and sort of swampy water as well.
Yeah, there's a little stream that runs around the back. Yes, I've got those plug-in mosquito things, and I realised the one in the cabin had run out, so I've plugged that in, got that going. I don't really like lighting the coils at the moment because we've got bloody burning. They just burn the rubbish here, and it is ridiculous. So there's this constant smoke.
Yeah, something I do not miss.
Yeah,
I do not miss that and it was getting big. So when you're at anchor, because you're away from land, you don't notice it as much. But
you can still smell it though, even at...
Oh yeah, you could smell it. But the last few days on the boat, on the hard, it was just insufferable, wasn't it? And on 2 occasions, I had to walk outside the boatyard, where there's a dividing wall between the boatyard and the village, only to find the villagers had set light to a great big pile of plastic whose flames were licking up the wall, going over the wall, and because of the wind direction was blowing this plastic smoke straight into the boatyard, with our boat 20 metres away from this dividing wall. And so with the backup of the security guard, I actually asked them to put it out, but it is ubiquitous, isn't it? It is absolutely everywhere, and that burning plastic smell is something I do not miss at all.
Well, it never seems to stop throughout the day and night. It's just constant. It's in my nostrils the whole time. Just I'd like to get away from that as soon as you're back. Get away from here. But even out, as you say, at anchor, you can smell it. It's really bad here. I've never known it to be as bad as this anywhere else. I've never known it like this. Anything else you miss? Obviously, you don't miss those things. There's the things you miss. Dragon fruit you miss.
No.
Nothing else?
Yes, I don't. Well, there's things I don't miss. You were just talking about pollution, and of course, I think Indonesia suffers from my mind, they have 3 different types of pollution on a massive scale. One is the air pollution. The second is the plastic pollution that, is also, that's where the air pollution comes from, which we've talked about, many, many times. But of course, the third bit of pollution that you don't perhaps think about is the noise pollution.
Oh God, yes.
And it's one thing, the call to prayer, which you and I are used to the call to prayer, and we like the call to prayer. Actually, it's just been the theme tune to pretty much our entire lives at sea. But in Lombok in particular, in my mind, they abuse the speaker system on the mosque, because they don't just do a call to prayer. The call to prayer is then followed or preceded by music, extra calls to prayer, and children screaming down the microphone. For some mad reason, every evening they were doing it, weren't they? And it would go on for half an hour. And it's
they're
not
still
just the
doing
mosque
it
next to us. Are they?
Oh God, yes.
I don't get it.
I know.
In fact,
it's awful.
You sent me a very funny little message, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I said, what was it? Something along the lines of, are you missing this or something? And I recorded, while I was over in the corner of the boatyard, I recorded this child singing it's singing, I don't know what it is, every time in the evening they do the call to prayer. I've got it somewhere. Do you want me to try and find it?
Well, actually, I think I've got it as well. Whoever finds it first. I found it. Here we go.
Oh, right. Go on, play it for everybody.
So for those listening, this is what we have been listening to every single evening. I'll play it now. Right, that's enough of that. I can't bear any more. And that is what we're listening to every single evening. And then when he's finished, someone a little bit older, a little bit younger will come in, and they don't seem to be getting any better. I just...
No, somebody said they thought it was a recording, but why anyone would record that, I really don't know. And it's not just once. It was this afternoon when Hendro was here, it was on. And I just held my head in my hands, and he just laughed at me.
And
because
it's not
we're
just
right
the mosque
next
to ask. It's the mosques all over Lombok, because when the mosque finishes next to us in the boatyard, you can still hear the other mosques, a few miles away. And they too are also, they've got children screaming down the mic. I think the one thing I miss is cheap access to cheap food, cheap meals, cheap eating out kind of thing, I suppose. I think, you know, in the UK, going to a restaurant is still seen as a special occasion. We do, of course, have many coffee shops and tea shops. You know, that's something that we are pretty good at. But it's the cost of living here. It is expensive. Now, we discussed this between ourselves, didn't we, about how much it costs to do shopping in the UK for food, so provisioning in the UK. And actually, down the supermarket, you can pick up cheap vegetables and fruit.
Yes.
But I'll give you an example. For example, carrots. Now, you can buy relatively cheap carrots from the supermarket, but they are all perfectly straight. They're this washed out orange colour, and they seem to be 99.9% water with not too much flavour. And of course, the carrots that we were buying, or where you're buying at the moment, they're all knobbly. They're this deep, rich orange colour, and they are so flavoursome that they're almost sweet, aren't they? So it's that sort of, I suppose, mass-produced vegetables versus, you know, the locally produced vegetables. That's something I definitely miss.
That's the thing about really pretty much from Turkey onwards. Everywhere we've been, there are local markets, not supermarkets, local markets, and everyone brings their wares and sells them. And that's how most of the world lives. In the West, we have supermarkets and malls, but nowhere we've been has that. Well, they have them in a few towns, but pretty much everybody, villages and small towns, they just buy everything from their local market, from fish to meat to all the veg. So it's mostly locally grown. Yeah. So whereas in the UK it's all packaged up and called organic and what do they call it, farmers markets, and it's like 5 times the price. Over here that's normal. So from that point of view, I suppose you can buy carefully. I guess if in the UK, if you buy carefully, you can keep the price down. Also, we cook from scratch. We don't buy anything that's already pre-packaged or anything like that. So you can't really compare those prices. Don't know, yeah. Cheese though, you've got cheese there.
Cheese, got cheese. I mean, there are obviously the one thing that we don't have on the boat that I have here. I'm with my at my mum and dad's place, is the oven. And I have been having, of course, it's autumn time, and autumn is all about baked potatoes.
Yeah.
Proper big baked potatoes, and being able to cook it for an hour and a half in the oven without having to worry about it heating up the boat or about how much fuel you're consuming. And it's just a real pleasure to have things cooked in the oven once more. And cheese as well, as you say, just...
Yes.
First thing I bought when I went downtown, cheese.
To be honest, most boats have ovens. It was our choice not to, so that's our fault. It's nothing to do with over here. That was our decision. But yes, an oven to cook stuff in, like big pies and roasted vegetables, all that sort of thing. Miss that. I'd like to have some of that.
I have discovered a new cheese. I'll bring some back with you. It's
okay, great.
Staffordshire cheddar in pickle, and it comes as a small waxed lump. And I left it out for 3 days so it would go soft, and it was just, I almost ate the whole thing in one go. And of course we should explain, I was just going to say, we should explain in Lombok, of course, we can get cheese in 1 or 2 markets. But of course, it is extremely expensive because they have to import it. So understandably, we don't buy it too often, apart from just some cheap cheddar that may be imported from Australia.
Yeah, we get that. I think it's a new Kiwi cheddar, which is all right. It's okay.
It's not bad.
You said markets. You mean shops? They're not. You can't get cheese in the markets here. Nobody sells cheese. But what you can get here is big blocks of tofu and tempeh. Which is a bit more difficult to get in the UK. I don't know. Have you looked to see if you can get it there?
I have a plastic box of tempeh in the fridge. I
Okay.
found some. And it
Tempeh.
cost- Yeah, tempeh, but it cost about £3.99 or something thereabouts.
Yes.
£3.99 for the blocks that we buy. It's probably the equivalent of half of one of those,
Yeah.
chopped up into little
expensive.
cubes. And how much do we pay for that in Indonesia?
It's not much, about £1, about £1.
Mm.
But the tofu you should be able to get, because that's a bit more popular in the UK and the West nowadays, isn't it? Have you looked for tofu?
I haven't looked for tofu yet. I tell you what I have been looking for, which you asked me to, is this smoky ingredient that you add. So
Yeah.
basically, just before I left Indonesia, we went to the Oberoi as a special treat. This is this posh hotel that's just down the road from the boatyard. And we just went for a snack, and you had this tofu dip, which was basically mashed up tofu, almost like a cream cheese dip, but it had this really smoky flavour, didn't it? Quite a bit of our conversation, I think, has been about food, hasn't it? You can tell that
Yes.
not only are we foodies, but I think as boat owners, food is always at the forefront of the mind, because when you're provisioning, you're having to quite often plan it in advance, and it isn't like it is right now for me at the moment. It's like, oh, I need a loaf of bread. I'll just walk down to town. I'll just walk into town and go to the supermarket and pick up a loaf of bread. We just don't have that luxury when you're on a boat, and especially when you're at anchor. Of course, it's that much more involved, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things that you get used to, because actually, have you noticed the convenience of just being able to pop down the road and get what you want while you've been there yet? You have already, yeah. Because, I mean, you can get things in most places. I mean, obviously, we do stay sometimes in places where there aren't any shops and there are no people. So, obviously, we keep the boat stocked up for all of that. But a lot of the time, we've got a village there, and there's usually a little shop, and there's usually a day when they'll set out their tomatoes and their greens and things. So you can get, but of course, you've got to take the dinghy and get in the dinghy in the water, get the outboard on, get over there, hoist the dinghy up the beach, take enough bags, walk somewhere to find where all of this is in the blazing heat, get it all back to the dinghy, then get it back to the boat. And that is a lot more involved than just jumping in the car and nipping to the supermarket. So it becomes.
I always walk. If it's
Yes,
local,
quite
I
right.
walk.
Yeah, it's a big mission on a boat, but obviously, yeah, over there it isn't. What other differences?
Oh, I was just going to say, I just thought of one other food stuff that I miss, and that is Cadbury's dairy milk with cashew nuts.
You can't get
cannot-
it there?
No, it's really strange. I've noticed you can get it everywhere in Indonesia. In every little village, if they've got a little convenience store, they have Cadbury's dairy milk with cashew nut. And I just love it because it's got an almost honey taste to the cashew nuts. I don't know how they roast the cashew nuts, but it is clearly exclusively for the Asian market, because I have never seen it in the UK. It's strange, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen cashew trees growing here all the way up to Thailand, so it must be readily available nuts, I guess. Oh, and speaking of nuts, the dogs have had theirs off. Changing the subject.
So
Got two
tell us
male dogs.
Yeah, tell us about Jack then, little Jack.
Yes, yeah, little Jack, who we met a year ago, is a tiny puppy with a gammy leg. Fourth leg just didn't really work properly, and a great big hole in his side. So we nursed him and loved him and looked after him for all the time that we were here. Then we went off, we came back, and here he is now, and he's still doing really, really well. But every now and again, every 6 months, the marina organises for the vets to come in. They have a local NGO full of and vets come in from Australia and everywhere, and they round up as many stray dogs, of which there are many on this island, and they neuter them. They spay the females and they castrate the males. And they have tried twice to catch Jack and have never managed. So I said, right, I'll try and help this time, because I think it would do him some good not to have them, because he was getting into fights, and he was sort of having to stick up for himself, and
we should add that it wasn't he that was causing the fights, it was him being picked on all the time, wasn't he?
yes, because he's a male, and it's that constant battle for the pecking order. So this was done a week ago, and it's just revolutionised his life. He's not being picked on. He runs after other dogs, but then gets bored. He's much more interested in chasing leaves, and just generally being really sweet. So it's really worked. You can see already the change in him, and he's not being bothered by the dogs at all.
If you find this topic interesting and would like to continue the conversation, come and join the Follow the Boat Discord community. Look for the link in the description. It's free.
What's the difference, have you noticed, in 1 week of being back in the UK compared to this side of the world on service generally, in shops, in restaurants, bars, I don't know. There's a Starbucks here, and everyone knows what Starbucks is. Starbucks, normally the queues just go bang, 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 bang. It's all set up, and there's a whole system behind Starbucks. And you take the order, take the money, place the order, go up the end, pick up your coffee cup. No, doesn't work like that here. It's painful. So what I was just imagining was being back in the UK and going into one of those places, ordering your coffee and going and picking it up. That to me would be, wow, that's something I miss.
A couple of weeks before I left Indonesia, we went into one of those, they're the equivalent of 7-Eleven, I suppose, to top up our internet on our phone. Two phone numbers, 2 lots of credit, simple, yeah? No,
yeah, I remember.
It took about 20 minutes, properly 20 minutes at the counter, with just this inefficiency and lack of, I won't even begin to go there, but that kind of...
But all done with a smile.
Oh yes, of course, yes, all done with a smile. And actually, it's normally
Charm.
a giggle, a little giggle. And that giggle, by the way, is not them just mucking about. It's quite often, it's when they're embarrassed. They are embarrassed about their own behaviour, and so they do giggle and smile, which you can take the wrong way if you're not aware of this. But I really don't miss that, and I have to say, the customer is still king. I think over here, it is all about the customer. Certainly, when it comes to going into most shops.
Yes, and pubs, they want to serve you. They want you to get your drink or whatever it is you want, and then they want to serve the next person. That's what it's all about. And I love Indonesia, and I love the people. There's simply no question how lovely it is here. But sometimes that constant charm and where are you from, blah, 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 just give me the drink. Sometimes I'm just not in the mood for it, and I just want a drink, and I just want my water and leave.
But the advantage you have is that if they are talking to you in that way, you can pretend that you don't understand them, whereas I can't do that over here. I'm understanding what every person is saying, and it's rude to not respond. So you have that excuse of pretending you don't quite understand what they're saying. There is so much we miss, isn't there, because of our lack of the ability to speak Bahasa.
Yes, we've never stayed in one country long enough to use the language, and it's only with hindsight I think, oh God, I wish we'd learnt that. We learnt quite a bit of Turkish when we were there, because we knew we were going to be there for a while. But Bahasa is quite an easy language. You can learn words, but to actually communicate is quite different. Although I am now saying every morning to Addy in the restaurant, who is the night watchman, Pagi Addy, which is morning Addy, because the correct term is Salamat Pagi, which is the polite way of saying good morning. But I tried that once, and they all come back with Pagi. So now I walk around going Pagi, and they all laugh. So I'm saying good morning, and I can say a few other words, but you can't really understand. You can sometimes get the gist of what's being said, but you don't know. It's really crap of us not to be able to speak their language, and language makes such a difference to really know what's going on.
back here it's a little bit different now because, you know, I've moved on, Saffron Walden's moved on, it's got bigger, people have changed. I go downtown now and I don't recognise anyone, which is very unusual. You know, back in the day, you knew every face and I don't know anyone anymore. So there isn't so much of that gossip or, complete familiarity. The buildings are the same, although there are lots of new ones. And but yeah, it's so I'm feeling more and more like a stranger when I come back, and I realised that really the reason why I'm coming back is just to see mum and dad and catch up with my brothers and maybe my extended family. Whereas Saffron Walden's definitely moved on and it's not the same place anymore. So I'm as much of a stranger here as I am anywhere on the boat.
So where do you think of as home?
Well, sometimes I catch myself saying I'm going back home when I'm referring to going to the UK. But of course, the boat is the home. So for me, it's definitely on the boat. And that's obviously, that's moving around. So we can't say Malaysia's our home or Indonesia's our home. The boat is the home. And, you know, I think we've said that for a very long time and that hasn't changed.
Yeah, so the expression wherever I lay my hat, change it to wherever I drop my hook, that's my home.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting, but while I've got you here, if you like what we do and you want to support us and become a Patreon or join us on FTP Mates or even drop a quid in the rum fund, go to followtheboat.com/pub. Of course, come to the pub.
So all in, from what I can see from a conversation we've just had, I'm missing the stuff that you've got in England and you're missing the stuff I've got here. You were right, the grass is greener.
It is greener, yes. I do wonder which, if I had the choice of any one place, which would I choose? And I think while I'm here, it will always be the tropics, to be honest. But when I'm in the tropics, obviously I'm missing my family mainly. So I don't know.
I'm finding as I'm getting older that the heat is getting more difficult for me to handle. So I don't want to have to do too many more on the hard months on ends. When we've got the boat in the water and we're doing things, I'm more than happy. But yeah, there are certainly things about Europe, certainly UK, that I miss. I'm strangely, I think really that for both of us, what we need is variety. So I don't think that being stuck in one place ever will be something that we will be happy with. What do you think?
Yep, you're absolutely right. Always need to be stimulated and start feeling claustrophobic when you stay in one place.
Yeah.
Even on the boat, when you get stuck in one place, we have that feeling of claustrophobia. We find it difficult to sort of get into the swing of things. And I mean, okay, when we get stuck somewhere, I'm much better now. You were always quite good at it, but I'm more philosophical now when we get stuck somewhere, which is the situation we're in at the moment. So I am much better at handling that, although I do get wound up and frustrated as we did when we first hauled out, because I can see our plans going out the window. But definitely that we always have to be moving and doing things, for sure.
Yeah, it'd be interesting for people who are watching who want to do what we're doing, that after 17 years you still get frustrated about plans changing, because it's one of the things that we're saying to people all the time: your plans will change, they are written in the sand, and just be prepared for that to happen. I think you're right, I'm much more philosophical about it, and I can see way into the future and I always say it'll get done in the end, you know. It always does, and we always get there in the end. So I don't really worry about that sort of thing. I think for me it's ingrained that I can't stay in one place for too long, and I have toyed with the idea in my head in moments over the years of, right, if we didn't live on the boat, where would I live? And I cannot find a single place in the whole world anywhere that I could go and live in a house or a flat again. it terrifies me, the idea of being stuck. It's like it's really something I can't imagine doing. And no matter what we do, I just hope we're always moving. If it's not on Esper, on another boat or a van. I don't fancy van life. It's not very good for the planet anyway, is it? I don't know. But yeah, I just need to be moving. Or at least have the knowledge that I can move, not stuck somewhere forever. It's just like the kiss of death for me.
Yeah, well,
Sad,
take a leaf out of our friends Lee and Jason, who used to have their boat and sold it. They have a property as an income. They were going to go back to work, and they decided, sod it, let's just travel. And so they're not permanently travelling, but when they do go and travel, they'll cover 5 or 6 countries at a time and do it over a period of some months. So they still have that wanderlust is satisfied because they are travelling for long periods of time rather than 2-week holidays. So, and I think they've found a good compromise because they're like us. They need to be constantly entertained and stimulated, and they don't want to be sitting around. So I guess if we come to a point where we no longer have a boat, then their situation I think is quite a good something to aim for. But anyway, I'm not entertaining that idea because as far as I'm concerned, we've got stuff to do on the boat and we will get it done and we will continue on our journeys. But the question is, with the closing weather window, are we going to be heading east or west? We just don't know.
This is the $64,000 question. We don't have the answer. Only the gods, the elements and the weather knows what we're going to be doing. Okay.
You normally have the answer.
I know. Always try and cut with an answer, come up with something or a viewpoint. So this has been, for those listening for the first time, this isn't a normal podcast. We're on other sides of the world. We're trying to do it through a Zoom meeting. Not sure what the quality will be like in the end of it all. But this is what we're going to be doing while Jamie's in the UK, me here on the boat, you over there, wherever you may be. This is my boffice, by the way, if you're watching. Behind me, that's the top shelf. This is my little boffice where I sit and do all my bossing around.
We should say as well, we always say it every week, but please join us on Discord because even though this is a different type of podcast, for us at least, for you guys listening out there, guys and gals, if you've got any ideas of subjects you'd like us to discuss, then please let us know because maybe there's a subject that's pertinent to us being so far apart that we could do. But I think, for us, the Zoom podcast thing, it works quite well, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I mean, you cut up now and again, and I'm like this, going, what? But that will always be the case, won't it? Even on the beep, beep, seeb, I hear them cutting out and saying, what, where. Yeah. Yep. So we're doing our best. And yes, I think it will work.
Yes, I think so. But we should call it a day because although it's not going to affect the audio, for the video, of course, we're 7 hours apart. It's very late for you. And for me, the sun's just about to come through the window. So I think it's time to wrap things up for this week. And by the way, should just say thank you very much to everyone who's commented on the last couple of episodes, not the podcasts. We talked a bit about not chasing the algorithm, and we put out 2 very interesting episodes that had a little bit of cruising but also travel on land, and they were really well received. So we really appreciate that.
Okay, that's it then for now.
Thank you everyone for listening and for putting up with us if you've been watching as well with this strange setup. Liz has got to go to bed, but before you do that, you need to send me your audio files on Dropbox so I can crack on and get editing.
Yes, it's now 9:15 at night. I'm normally tucked up by now. So I'll say good night, everybody. Bye.
Okay, cheers. Take care. Bye.